How's it going, brothers and sisters? It's your friendly neighborhood Chillaboo, and I want to thank you for joining me for Fuel for Thought 9. I'd actually spent several days thinking about what I was going to do as a topic of conversation for this particular installment of Fuel for Thought. And as it would be, fate determined that I was going to talk to you today about the how frivolous material things can be. Now, one second. Many of you know that I have a bit of a knife collection. I do enjoy collecting folding pocket knives as well as fixed blade knives. They're a tool, they're a collectible, they're not something that sits in a drawer, it's not used. So I'm just sort of prefacing what I'm going to say with that because I had the idea a little while ago, maybe a month or two ago, of coming up with a different playlist, and it was going to be called What's Cutting Edge This Week. And each week I would showcase one of my knives and talk about it for a few minutes and maybe do a little bit of whatever demonstrations with it. Just, again, something that I know that folks out there, some folks enjoy knives, and I do. Well, that's what I like to collect. Some people collect comic books, some people collect glass, and different other knickknacks and what have you. But I've always been a fan of knives. If you have seen some of the other videos on the channel, you know that I'm always carrying an EDC or two of some sort, but I digress. A couple months ago, I kind of shot one of the initial clips that was going to be the intro for that playlist, and it was shot with this knife right here. This is a Boker Hitman. I guess the crux of it is, last Friday, on the 3 acres of the property, or on several kilometers of hiking and biking around with the dogs, this knife was affixed to my right pocket. Sadly, I found out at some point on Friday that that knife was no longer affixed to my right pocket. Kind of a drag, because this was my most expensive knife. It was the first knife I had that was made with D2 tool steel, and if you look at the box, there's a sad empty spot where it once sat when it wasn't in my pocket. And the whole concept of this talk today with you all is the fact that the emphasis put on material items is kind of ridiculous when you really think about it. That particular knife was a gift, so there is a degree of, damn, that bothers me. And the other thing is, I've lamented for the last, 4 or 5 days about that knife. I myself and my better half have combed here, there, and everywhere. We did grid patterns and tried to sort of recreate what I was doing that day, but the brush being what it is, the environment being what it is a vegetable needle in a haystack somewhere. I may happen upon it at some point in time, but again, I'm having a problem lamenting about the loss of this item. Again, I had it for a very few months. I really enjoyed it a lot. It was, knives are somewhat of a fidget spinner for me. I like to play with them when I'm not utilizing or just carrying them. But I'm going to drop in a couple-minute clip of what I shot for that initial sort of presentation of what that knife was about, and I'll see you guys in a minute. This is a Boker Plus Hitman. This particular model was designed by Jim Burke. It's a rather attractive, simple, functioning knife. It's a flipper. So we're looking at a 3.6-inch drop point stonewash blade in D2 tool steel. The overall length of the knife is 8.5 inches, and we're looking at a flat grind there. As you can see, this handle is G10, but if you flip it over, The other scale is a stainless steel with a lock frame. There's some mild jimping on the top. There's some mild jimping on the lock bar. And speaking of the lock bar, that lockup is at 90%. Just fantastic. It's operating on a bearing pivot system. Overall weight is 5.5 ounces. And you can carry it with right tip up or tip down. There you have the Boker Plus Hitman, designed by Jim Burke. All right. Now that was a fine looking knife, wasn't it? Stainless steel on the one side, G10 scale on the other. It was the design I like, open, nice standoffs on the back, beautiful blade. Yeah, it was sort of like the evolution of the Ram. A little bit bigger, but the same kind of feel, same kind of materials. Again, I digress though, because at the end of the day, the reality for you and I is that if we're fortunate enough to have a roof over our head, some food in our belly, and the bonus of people caring about us, on another level, our ability to care about others, well then you indeed have true richness in this life. It's nice to have stuff, but then in the grand scheme of things, stuff is just that, it's stuff. It doesn't quantify who you are or your success. It doesn't speak of your character, of your morals, of how you carry yourself, how you treat others. It's just stuff. But I can't help but miss that knife. I can understand why some folks buy cheaper knives like that to carry around for this very reason. But yeah, maybe one day it'll make its way back to me, whether the original life will be found. 20 years from now, I could be walking down a path and there it is, holy fuck, I remember you. Or it may be replaced, but again, it was the most expensive knife that I had, a folding knife that is, and it's unfortunate that with the regulations by the Canadian Border Services Agency prohibiting knives that are flippers or able to be manipulated with one hand, like this Kershaw link, see the flipper? Yeah, that is now illegal to import into Canada. It has been since the beginning of this year. But if it exists in Canada, you can still purchase it and carry it. Now, unfortunately, that Boker Hitman with taxes was a $162 knife. The cost of that knife in the States is almost half of that. Ridiculous. But again, it's only stuff. The stuff that matters is inside you, inside me. I realize I just pointed opposite, but you get the point. Who we are, what we stand for, how we care ourselves, how we interact with others, how free we are to give of ourselves. I could have a million knives worth $1 million. But if I had an empty, vacuous soul, if I didn't care about you, if I didn't care about the environment, if I didn't care about myself and those in my life, then I am a piss poor motherfucker. But I lost a knife. I'll get over it. The true richness is that I get to live where I want to live. I get to live how I want to live. I'm able to share my life with you. And I give thanks literally for the gift that is every day. And for those of you that are so kind, considerate, and consistent to share your most valuable commodity. Had to happen at some point in time, eh? To share your most valuable commodity with me, and that is your time. Because once that's gone, nothing will ever give that back to us. So, it's a short and sweet fuel for thought today. But I do think it speaks volumes. I do think it's worth reflecting upon that, again, stuff is just stuff, and the right stuff inside of you, well, that's what's important. So, you take care of yourselves, okay? Thanks again for your time. I'll be taking care of myself and everyone around me. I send you all peace, love, and blessings from the farm. Until the next time.